Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of SpecTalk. Today's a really fun one. As you guys can see, we're all finally in the same room. That's right. We've been talking about this for a while. They've all been remote up until sort of virtual up until this point, and it took Eric Letbetter to make it happen in person.
That's right.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. So let's go ahead and get started by introducing everybody we've got here today. As always, we have Eric Bear with us, strategic account executive.
Reverse first name, got the last name right.
What did I say?
Eric Bear.
Oh my God! I'm just so excited.
Games.
Alex Bear.
Yes,
that
sir.
is right there. I can point to him now. It's Alex Bear, strategic account executive here at RIB. I am Dory, Azar, a licensed architect and strategic account executive here at RIB also. And Eric Letbetter is our special guest today. We are going to get to Eric in a moment because his bio is so long and so impressive that it needs its own thing. So to start, we are going to just do a little bit of the housekeeping. So in the handout section of the webinar today, you will find more information regarding today's webinar. So contact information for Eric and some of the tutorial and step-by-step things that we're going to be covering today. I want to remind everybody who's here that the chat and Q&A are open. So if you're hearing something that you want a little more information on, want to say how great our new mugs look, or just have some feedback in general, we'd love to hear from you guys, as always. Next slide, please, Alex. We're going to talk about the contest. So,
all right.
Every episode we are doing a contest for any project that's been specified in SpecLink to have an opportunity to have your project featured on an upcoming SpecTalk and get a couple of prizes in the process too. They're pretty cool. Do you have one of those speakers handy? There's one of the prizes. Oh, if it's put away, it's no big deal. But it's a cool JLB speaker and a couple of other SpecLink treats as well. Swag. So those the information for that is also in the handouts as well. So you can pick that up there and apply if you've got a project that you've done in SpecLink. And I also want to talk about and maybe we can dump this in the chat as well, is the library of previously recorded episodes that we have.
Yes.
So if you've missed a previous one, or I don't know why you would miss this one, but if somebody had, for some reason, couldn't be here today, they can come back and watch the greatness that's about to unfold today. Yeah. So today our guest is Eric Letbetter, and I've been honestly really excited to A, meet you, and B, just kind of go through this one. So a bit about Eric. Eric is an NCARB-certified architect and a CSI certified construction specifier with over 30 years of experience. That's impressive. As the founder of Letbetter Inc., he specializes in specification writing, teaching, and quality control for the construction industry. Eric's diverse architectural background spans multifamily, transportation, hospitality, retail, and educational projects, while his passion for mentoring and lifelong learning has defined his career. An accomplished endurance athlete, and this is just learning this about Eric today. Ironman, anyone? So awesome. Eric also volunteers with the Kyle Pease Foundation, reflecting his dedication to both his profession and his community. Welcome.
Thank you.
Eric, this is awesome.
Thank you.
So excited. So excited. Now, you're from the area. You didn't have to drive too far to get here today.
No, I'm born and raised in Atlanta. I'm one of the few remaining local Atlanta natives.
Atlanta. What are you if you're from Atlanta? Is it Atlantean?
ATLian?
I don't know.
I've heard all the
things.
All the things.
So born and raised in Atlanta.
Yeah.
How did you get from born to high-end spec writer? What's been your career path that got you here?
Well, so I did stay locally for college. I went to Georgia Tech.
Okay.
I did
Cool.
my undergrad and grad. So I went straight through.
Local.
Right.
All right.
And that actually led to my first job, which I got as an undergrad, which carried me through graduate school, which carried me through my career. 2 mergers later, I'm at Niles Associates.
Okay.
So through 2 mergers, 31 years at Niles Associates.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of how I landed at that one firm for that long. But
And then somewhere in there, somebody introduced you to specs.
yeah. So the firm was always a place where we called it had a culture of learning, very strong culture of learning. And so very early in my career, I had people that were pouring into me the importance of specs and how you execute it, how it's part of the process. And there's actually a pretty big age gap between the number of the older mentors, the people running projects, and those of us that were executing it. So it came out in the mid 90s, and so I had a lot of had some early experience and exposure to things that really sort of shaped my personal, and what evolved into a personal interest in things that were more technical. Mm-hmm. And so I found out I was kind of good at it. I enjoyed that side. Mm-hmm. And so that evolved over time into some involvement with some corporate level needs to sort of start to look at specs and start to quality control those and develop those as a sort of the next generation of person who would probably head up or at least be involved in that. And so that sort of cyclical culture of learning has always been super, super exciting, for me. And that sort of took a couple of turns along the way. I'll just touch on this a little bit. So what the resume doesn't really tell you is that I actually spent some time as a teenager and as a college student framing houses, as a summer gig, and that was a big deal.
You know how I feel about that. That hands-on experience, it should be part of the curriculum. Like frame a wall, like carry a 2x4. It should have that hands-on. It must have benefited you as your life got more technical.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So my framing nickname was Lightning.
That's a great nickname.
It never strikes the same place twice. So.
Oh, I thought it was your speed of framing.
No, that
just
was
unpredictable.
And it was an awesome joke. So fast forward through the economy and it changes in 2008. That's when some things started to change a little bit. I started, just changing my role and started actually producing specs and writing some specs for projects. Mm-hmm. I worked on some design build experience, some market rate stuff, and we were using Microsoft Word.
Oh.
And with some Office Masters that had evolved right. over time, and I kind of got frustrated a little bit with the amount of time it took to do certain things. I got involved with a Navy project where I got exposed to specs intact because it was my project, so someone had to do it. So I volunteered myself, and that came back. So we ended up coming back to SpecLink. So some other folks in the firm had experience with it. It was some back and forth. Mm-hmm. I took that on as I sort of championed that project a little bit, and I just started using it, trying to figure out how to leverage the cool stuff that SpecLink has with the knowledge base of the firm. And I actually built a use case for purchasing the software based solely on the savings from editing footers.
Really?
That's awesome.
I ran. So I said, okay, look, we spend X amount of dollars in labor. What was the calculation? I said,
we could do it on the board.
Well, so if you think about the number of times that you might potentially change the footer, mm-hmm. and in the multifamily market, you could change the date 3 times. Mm-hmm. The project name might change that many, and so you can end up with a lot of. And even if you say to take a conservative number, I mean, run the math for yourself. Say I've got 100 sections on 110 sections in my average project, and we're going to change the footer 3 times mm-hmm. per project, and
300 times, right?
330 changes,
and multiply that by the hourly rate of somebody to do that, and suddenly you've got
at 2 minutes per change,
what do we land
you're
on?
11 hours.
11
Oh
hours.
my gosh! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, in just footers.
Just the foot. That's just the foot.
And that's just one project.
Per project.
Yeah.
So at a big firm where you're doing 30, 40, 50 projects, that's mm-hmm. it's real money. And so that was sort of how I got that's how I got the first license, and I just started building projects. So while we were sort of living in the firm was living in both worlds, and it just evolved over time. And then
so you became more and more popular with your.
I became a lot more popular. I started being was able to get some real efficiencies and speed and economies from that. And so that's sort of how that that role sort of evolved into that. And then, ultimately I decided that if I'm going to eventually do this when I retire anyway, so
Let's do it now.
let's do it now. Why wait?
And so through that SpecLink journey, we should bring it back to the episode title today, which we haven't mentioned, and it's
For sure.
cleverly called Tag Your It.
Yeah.
Because today's episode is all about tagging. And the capabilities and abilities within SpecLink to really tie information together, I guess, is what the tagging would do.
For sure.
And I know today we're going to cover what you see on the screen here. So custom tags for allowances, how to utilize tag reports, tagging custom content, creating custom tags, and tags and reports for maintenance or special contracts. So today we've got kind of a different approach, and we're going to do that step-by-step sort of tutorial follow along on what. Once you tell the viewers what they're going to be learning today, and if you're not a SpecLink user, you can ask Alex and I for a demo anytime you want. But if you are a SpecLink user already, open it up now and get ready to follow along with what we're about to do, because it's going to be sort of a step-by-step on how to build some custom tags.
Sure.
Yeah. So why don't you explain to everybody while we get that going?
Sure. So to give everybody a few minutes to sort of open that up, I want to talk a little bit about the way tags work. Okay. So there are tags that RIB has baked into the program that are predominantly centered around the submittals article, right? So, and you can run reports from those and get some output on all the places that you ask for product data. Okay. Right? So you can export all your specs to an Excel report, and then give that to your design team, and sort of as a quality control, say, do you really want to review all of these for construction phases? Does it match your scope of services? Where do you want samples that you don't have them? Why are we, do you really want that cabinet sample? Right. Do you really need it? Yeah. Right. And so those tags in the report sort of behave in a way that I call scales down. So the reporting feature allows you to either include or not include subparagraphs of articles that are tagged. So let's say you've got the shop drawings submittals, the shop drawing article, and that's tagged. In the reporting output, you can say, yes, I want subparagraphs. I want subparagraphs in the output. And you don't have to go back and tag those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So there's only one place that tag lives, and you can get all the data or not. Right? It's up to you. You have control over that in the output. User tags are tags that you make up on your own, right? And so those behave up. Okay. So they behave backwards. So you really only have to tag the lowest, the lowest level of any particular subparagraph. And so the custom tag, one of the custom tags that I created was what I call the basis of design tag. So I can go all the way into the products and say sort of as a I call it a outline light. So you go to one of the I'll use one I've got in my template that's the section for underslab vapor barrier for Stego. You can go through and I can tag just the line that says Stego. I can tag that with my custom tag, and then I can run a report for that particular tag, and it will print out everything up from that spec, from that.
But there's a little bit more narrative than an outline spec.
It's a shorter narrative than an outline spec. So if you want to tag that and say what, for me, it's like what products are we specifying? What are the actual products that we want to set as, say, level of quality? We want this vapor barrier, we want this air barrier, and we want this kind, this particular model of roof. You can do that and generate an output and not have to filter through some of the more commodity type content that you might see in an outline format.
So
sure,
I love
it's like a custom outline.
I love the example you gave us on the time saving with the footers. Could you even just estimate what that time saving would be, what you're doing with tags versus the old-fashioned way of having to sift manually through an entire spec to find, to create your own submittal log?
So I actually did that.
Oh, okay. So I'm not putting you on the spot. Yeah, you're.
No, I had so before SpecLink, when I was a young designer in preparation for construction phase services, I actually went through an entire project manual, and I created an Excel spreadsheet that had every submittal in there, so that we could cross-check that with the submittals that were coming in from the contractor.
Sure. And how long would that take?
It took a while. It took way more than the 15 seconds it takes to generate an Excel spreadsheet.
Can we show people how to generate their own tag? I mean, I think.
How to generate?
Let's dive in. Yeah,
this is an example. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this custom tag.
Okay.
All right. So get your spec links ready.
So go ahead and share your full screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we should be able to see that here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just my screen. The audience should be able to see SpecLink now.
So go to click on the top. See where it says. Not yet. So go to Division 7.
Okay.
Go to 071400. Fluid applied waterproofing.
Okay.
Okay. So tags live on the left side in the blue flyout to the left. So go ahead and open that, and then select the tags.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a list of all the list of all the tags. You've already got some user tags, so you can see on the right hand side the little blue icon that says those are user tags that you have. There's some, the CT is an RIB tag, so it actually tells you which tags are yours and which tags are someone else's. And actually, you can do that. Let's see. Scroll down a little bit more on that left menu bar. See where this is something. I don't know if you guys know this. Scroll back up to the where it says CT, just a little bit more. See where it says. See that number 1 right next to the CT. So there's one instance of the CT tag.
Oh, so it's keeping
that section. So it tells you
very cool
what's in there, right? So instead of sort of fishing through that, you can sort of look through the tags menu there and filter that out. You can also use under the search. You can do the search bar. You can type whatever you like, CERT, and it'll filter a list. So instead of scrolling through stuff, you can sort of super quick way the search feature. And this search bar is not case sensitive.
Okay, so you leave your caps lock on.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Leave caps lock on. So there's a white tag in the blue box in the center where you can create a custom tag. So scroll up, see underneath the search bar and the tags. That one. So we're going to make a new tag.
Okay.
And so just under enter tag name, type VOC in caps. VOC space.
Okay.
Limits.
All caps.
Just initial LIMITS. And so underneath, it's sort of RIB is sort of giving you a suggestion there for what that is. So click inside the blue box, and you can change that to anything you want. So backspace out of that L because I want this to make sense, and just type VOC. Okay, so now I'll save.
Okay.
So now we have a new tag
Mm-hmm.
that's called VOC.
Okay.
Okay, and so the tags live in the column that's labeled report. So now you can let's see, where are we? There. Okay, leave that left flyout menu open.
Okay,
that's fine. So where's your top menu bar? I can't see it. Oh, can you see? So I want people to be able to see this up at the top. Yeah. So under the find, so I use this all the time. The search bar, the find and replace.
Mm-hmm.
Micro hack. So go to that one. Little icon there to the right of that. It says find and replace, and type capital V.
Okay.
OC. Now, yeah. So
enter.
It says 0. Not that.
You're gonna add an instance in the.
Yeah, just go. Okay, so go down to. Let's do this real quick. So go down to part 2. Go down to part 2.
Okay.
and it doesn't. Let's just do it for fun right there.
Okay.
Just hit it right. Just say VOC limits. Activate that article.
We did just get a comment from Gary Christensen that said in the new release that's coming up, the characters for tags are expanding, so you're gonna have more room to name your tags.
Oh, great.
Okay.
After this new release, which is this weekend, I believe.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday. So you currently get 4. You currently get 4, and there's some cool things you can do. So now that we have this line that has VOC limits, you should be able to. You don't need that search bar anymore. You can get out of that. So now you look inside the reporting. You should be able to right click inside the. Now type VOC.
Okay.
And then select that. And now you've got your custom tag. Now, a thing that you may or may, so now that you're in the section, SpecLink remembers that that's the tag. So the next that just pick the paragraph below.
Okay.
In the column and just left click with your mouse in the just left click that. No, just
Left. I'm sorry.
yeah, left click. So it remembers that you've got the tag.
Oh, cool.
So if you're tagging, so you can
Multiple
sort of
things.
sort through your section. Say I want to tag this in that section. You can once you go through that, boom, 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 boom. It remembers.
Anytime you click in that column, it's going to use the
Right.
one that you just used. Okay.
Right. So let's say the use case for that is I've got a bunch of stuff in here that I want to change to not selectable, not printing because I'm managing content. I got to do a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or I've imported something and I got a bunch of notes in there and I want those all to be
Right.
non-selectable and I'm printing. Now I can tag it and then I just tag them on the fly multiple times all through that section.
That's a really good application.
And then not have to go back through. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't. Content team. It doesn't remember.
Are you okay? Are you?
Sorry, need a drink. Need some water. It does not remember that if you open a new section.
So if you left this section now and went to a new one,
Right.
you have to reapply the
Insert
VOC.
You just have to
reinsert the tag.
You don't. The tag is there. You just have to go back in the report column and find it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got to reapply it.
So
Got it.
But I like it within the division too. Within the section, that's like.
Oh yeah, the fact that it remembers is.
But even as a no print
It's
stuff
pretty
too, because I like that application, right? So it's not just this VOC thing. Like think about all the other tags that are already baked into the software, the tags that you could possibly create on your own, and then how that could save you time and just sort of rapid fire down a list of including things or excluding things.
Right.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Okay. Yeah. That's great.
So let's take a look at the questions here, see if anybody's coming in. But so what are some of the other tags some of the creative ways that you're using tags that maybe are maybe a little off the beaten path, a little creative.
So let's talk about that. So scroll back up to the top. I'll show you one that I used. And I don't care that I tell you this because you still have to build it in your own library. So underneath the update notes, here's something I did. So go to the end of the update notes, right? So if you put your cursor at the end of the S and hit return, so create a new line, and now so there's a couple ways to indent that. There's a menu choice. You can click the button and then increase indent. But if you use the command feature, if you use the control feature and then the brackets,
Okay. Yeah.
that's the shortcut. Now just type spec update notes. Okay, now do another hard return. Tab over one more, just because and now put the date.
Okay.
Today's date, 12/11/2024. I'm gonna say added, and then it's like added VOC content added.
And then what I do is I have a custom tag that I made that's specifically tied to however you want to call the spec update notes.
Okay.
And so because user tags behave upwards, I only have to tag the lines where I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can run a report for that individual tag, and I know I can run a report on when I updated my masters. So in terms of updating your office masters, one of the questions I got asked a lot when I was at corporate was, when's the last time we looked at this?
Wow.
And so,
Yeah.
so the update notes, that's great, but, and then there's no sort of output feature baked into the program that really tells you that. I mean, you can rely on somewhat I could open the masters and I can look and I could say, with the side menu and say, oh, well, we were in there. It just tells you somebody was in there.
Yeah.
They maybe made an edit, maybe they didn't, maybe they only accepted the edits. Maybe I didn't accept all edits, and there was a reason for that because I haven't had time to vet them all.
Right.
Right. I wanted I went ahead and got reference standards and manufacturers, but there's a couple of paragraphs in there. This is a strategy that I use to sort of manage that whole effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's smart.
So that basically all your data for the spec is in here. It doesn't live in a spreadsheet somewhere else.
Right.
Got it.
You got a separate spreadsheet that says, oh my gosh, we updated.
Yeah, you got to go back and update that, and somebody forgets, or
Right. And
So,
A,
nor does an Excel spreadsheet have your reporting that
it doesn't.
tracks back to the actual.
It doesn't. And then how are you going to manage that? You save the version. You got to PDF it. You got it's a shared file.
Yeah.
Does it live in a place that you want everybody to have access to? So there's all sorts of good reasons that I had based on the corporate environment I was in to sort of manage that effort. Now, do I need to do that as a sole practitioner now? Probably not, but I'm doing it anyway.
They're good habits.
It's a good habit, and then I can say, oh, I edited this section. I did a major overhaul for this section
Sure.
in a project, and now I can go back and tag where I did it and go, gosh, where did I do that?
Yeah.
And then I can run a report on that particular. I can run that spec update tag report
Mm-hmm.
on 2 projects and look to see if I edited
Compare
something.
them,
So
yeah.
if I'm doing particular edits in a project,
Mhm.
I may log that so that
Log.
data can live there, and so that gives you a way to manage whether or not, hey, this was intentionally done in the project for a particular client, et cetera, et cetera. So that's it was a way for me to manage all the information here.
That's really creative. I really like that idea. Speaking of Excel spreadsheets, we've got a question that came in about creating a BOD tag. You can see it right up on the right-hand side of our screen there. That was exported as a super long Word file, and they would prefer it to be an Excel report that can be filtered. Do you ever, I'm not sure what our stance is on Word versus Excel for exporting, but is there maybe anything you could speak to that about maybe over tagging? Is that
you can over tag and get some wild things.
Maybe through the submittals log. That'll take the Excel.
The submittals log export is only available as an Excel spreadsheet.
So,
but that's the goal, and for this particular person.
Yeah. So why don't we run a sample report?
Yeah. Let's.
So click on the icon just above the blue flyout on the left, top left. It looks like a spreadsheet icon.
Sorry, can you?
Yeah. Oh gosh, your screen is tiny. See that dark one that looks like a spreadsheet?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So click on that one.
Okay.
And so you can select report. It's not going to let you run a report on anything that isn't tagged.
So let's maybe choose some things. Some submittal.
Yeah, so turn on the submittal article, and then you should be able to run a report. You should be able to run a submittal report now.
Bring some of this into play.
Look at this, Eric. Look at this. Just good stuff.
Oh.
We do have a couple other questions that are coming in. If Alex needs a second, we can. Are the spec update notes intended to print or just for reference?
So they won't, because of where I put them.
In the dotted.
So RIB has this cute little thing they do where they have this thing that update notes.
Mhm.
So it's already a line for that that's set up to no print, which is why I do a hard return.
And it just keeps
And I
building
tab
off of that.
over, I say spec update notes.
Right. So no, the answer is no, it's not intended to print
It's
unless
not
you
intended to
specifically
print.
create a report of that print.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you want it to print, you can, but then it just prints when you print your section. That's
Little
not.
dots.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
non-selectable, non-printing.
But maybe
so
Steve-
the reporting feature, I use a custom tag in this reporting feature strategy because I can output that report. I don't have to worry about that thing accidentally printing
In like a final.
in a final
Yeah.
version of anything. I don't have to manage it. I don't have to turn it
Right.
off. And
I wonder if Steve who asked the question has a specific, maybe they keep a hard copy printed somewhere in the office, like of a master spec or something like that, that they just want, somebody that can flip through and
yeah.
perhaps, I don't know, Steve, if you have more info.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what else they're looking for. Yeah, so here's the output report for an accept for the and that probably doesn't have the VOC tags because that's just a submittals report, right?
Correct, right. So that's just for submittals. Let me go ahead and turn on my.
Yeah, so your custom tags will only show up if they're tagged in the submittals article.
Yeah, so Andy's asking, are you then tagging your spec update notes?
Oh, yeah, so the custom tag, I'm only tagging the dated note each time.
Okay,
Because remember, the report prints reverse,
right?
so I only have to tag the dated thing, the lowest
So
level.
when you update it, you just move that tag down a line?
I do a hard return the next time I update and then just add the tag, so that
So-
I get both. I want both.
Oh, because you want the
Because I want the
legacy.
history, I
Yeah,
want
Okay.
the legacy information.
Right, okay. And that's you, right? Like that's just, and that's how customizable this is. That's a decision that you make at your firm. Another firm might just want the most recent update or something like that. So they don't have to tag. If somebody just tagged the last one, well, it would
Yeah.
still filter up though, right? In the report, would it still include, excuse me, everything about all the previous release dates above it?
If they're still tagged, yeah.
Okay.
But you can untag it.
Yeah, if you just wanted the most recent.
Right, because it remembers, right? So
Right.
if you when you open it and you create a new line, you gotta add the tag anyway. So you have to pull the tag up. If you want to untag the other ones, then untag the other ones.
Right.
You set it up how whatever.
Love
works.
that. And they're always
Whatever
there.
works for
You know, if you change your mind on the next time, you can just
Right,
tag those
right.
and like,
Right.
and that's one of the things I love about SpecLink is that nothing disappears, right? It's
Right.
you're opting in or opting out. It's
Right.
not like, so it gives you the flexibility to try stuff and be like, oh, let's just do the most recent printout or the most recent update. And then something happens, you're like, you know what, we just need the history of everything. So from now on, we'll add all the other tags. And it's still there. So nobody deleted anything, nothing's
Right.
lost, nothing has to be re-researched.
Right. Multi-purpose for one spec.
Yes.
And if you've got a QC person, you just have to, and they don't have to have their own license. Get them view rights,
Mhm.
share the project by view rights, and then they can go in and look at it.
Are we trying to make the QC process easier too?
Something like that.
It's supposed to be the hardest part though.
We're built differently.
Yes, yeah,
So-
for sure. All right, sorry, Alex, I know you're mid.
No, I was just going to show that this is.
Oh
the
yeah,
custom report.
I don't. Okay, but I don't need the cover report. That cover sheet is optional.
Okay.
So those are the two. So there's the example. You put two tags in it, and it gives you all the things back to the section level where it lives.
And again, the alternate would be manually searching a Word document.
Or a
Or a PDF.
Or a PDF.
Right. And
If they're tagged, now they have the stuff has to get tagged.
right.
So it would take time to build that into your system and start to do that. But you can start to understand if you've been asked to check this. Like, where do we have VOC limits
Right.
called out? Because
Like-
it's like I go that if it's built in there.
Uh-huh.
So the previous workaround was, okay, well I'll print a PDF and then I'll just go to search the PDF for VOC limits and highlight everything. And
Right.
then I've got to output Bluebeam and other things let you do report comments, but why would I like build it in there and just have this one source of truth?
And we always say that, right? And that's, it sounds like a tagline or like a clip, but it really is like everything can be right there, one file, one spot for everyone to access. Steve came back with another question. It says, regarding spec notes, I was just trying to understand intention as to why it is there for each spec. Is it just for the specifier to keep track of issues and changes they are tracking, making notes to themselves, or is it for some other purpose?
So the update notes that RIB puts in there,
Mhm.
they usually have some sort of update. It usually says when the section was updated, etc. I trust more what I've done, and what I've edited, because sometimes those notes, for me, those notes that are in there, they don't reflect the things that I've done. So it's a great sort of high level. If you want to, so exit out of this report and let's just go look at it. So scroll back up to the top and click on the orange, and so side note, you don't have to open the flyout and then click the orange. If you click the orange, it'll automatically open the flyout. It should automatically open the flyout for you.
Oh, okay. I
So
don't know if I knew that or not.
So click on the orange note on that one,
Mhm.
and it should pull it up. It might take a sec. I don't know what that looks like.
That is what we're looking at here. So this may have less update notes, right?
It might, and so that's a good follow-up question. Oh, see, it says 2024 June, new proprietary section. Right. So
Right, because this is the WR Meadows version.
oh, that's that one. Okay.
Right.
And so that's great information, but that doesn't tell me how I've managed it or whether or not I've pre-edited something in the master. So.
But you can come in and add your own, update notes, right?
Yeah, that's why I do it, so that I
Okay.
know. I mean, that's really just for me managing, I don't know, 200 something office masters. I can't remember all that stuff.
Right.
I stopped trying to remember stuff like that.
All right. So you've got my wheels really spinning as to like, so can you also, is this like something you would avoid or something you would proceed with caution? Can we apply multiple tags to the same line?
Sure.
And do you have any warnings on that, or is there any way that can go sideways, or is that just keeping track of your stuff and?
I mean, run through it, run a test. Pick a section to do make a test project.
Mhm.
Run a test, and check it out. Do a QC on it. See how it behaves before you go implementing it into
Right.
30, 40 sections.
Sure.
But the VOC limits. So let's just say that that's there because I want to know if I've got VOC limits. I could also tag that with the lead tag.
Right. Right.
So that's lead. That's applicable to lead or green globes, and then you can start to see, you can start to think about other applications where like I might have 3-4 tags on the same line.
Right.
So that's.
Do we have a limit on tags per line?
That I don't know. I've probably only used.
I know Gary's
always
listening.
try.
Maybe Gary, if I just saw a question pop in. Oh no, that's not that. Yeah, Steve's saying I like the idea of adding my own notes in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hear from a lot of people who just love being able to add their own notes.
So one of the I don't want to overlook this sort of 4-digit coding that you get to use.
Mhm.
I probably wasn't leveraging that the same way that I have in the last week since the last SpecTalk when Beth was sharing her screen. She had a lowercase note. She had a lowercase letter in one of those, and my face just lit up. Like, oh my God, this is like unlocked a boss level.
Where you're like, does Beth have access to something that I don't have
I
access
was like,
to?
what is, how did she do that? I was like, oh, crap. And so, so one of the custom things that I've sort of been messing around with lately was, is code, code required things
Mhm.
like little c
Mhm.
and then three digits for your code something.
Okay.
Like let the wheels spin is like, what do you need to sort of like, how do you, in terms of like managing the tags on the sides, like all these tags that are sort of similar, but because it automatically sorts those alphabetically, how do I group those together? So
Right.
if I had 4 or 5 code things, and I think the ones that I think that's had were like seismic stuff, structural stuff, you
Yeah.
start to go Miami-Dade and Florida
Mhm.
or other California stuff,
Mhm.
you could have some sort of small case numbers like code and then 3-digit things.
Right,
And then if you're going in and tagging things, those things sort of all live
right.
in between. You can shortlist the search term, and then it just makes it easier to find those things.
We've got another really good question. We're down to less than 20 minutes, guys. I
Yeah.
knew this was going to fly by. But Marjorie, who's always on, always asking the best questions, is asking, is it possible to delete a SpecLink native tag? Often what's tagged by SpecLink as short form, outline, etc., isn't what we want it to be, but it doesn't seem that we can get rid of them.
I am not aware that you can try to untag something. Go to the submittals article.
That was an ad.
Now uncheck it.
Can't remove.
So that's actually on my list of. I think it's on the. I think it's on the enhancements request.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's. I don't know if that's there to protect us from ourselves.
Okay.
Right.
Which
so,
some people need protection from themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Sometimes. So yeah, I mean I agree with Marjorie. So Marjorie, maybe you can submit another enhancement request. Yeah, because sometimes those tags aren't what we want, and so you can't rename them, you can't renumber them. So I'm super excited to see how much of that is part of this new release, if it is. I'm not aware of it, but yeah, you can't untag things that are
Okay.
tagged in there, but you can make your own tag and tag all those things the way you want them, and then run your own reports for them.
So
That's the workaround that I would do.
in-house rockstar Gary Christensen is giving us real-time answers to a lot of these questions.
Oh, nice.
So he said he just added 35 tags to a sequence. Don't see a limit at this point. So
There you go.
if you've got 35 tags,
You've got
you're,
99 problems and a tag isn't one.
what? I immediately
Sorry.
regret the name of this webinar now. It should have been that.
We can.
Is there a part 2?
Could be.
99 problems and a tag ain't one. Done. That's so awesome. You cannot remove a master tag from a sequence at this time. So that is the official.
Yeah, I
The
know.
thumbs down. All right, but we're
That's
hearing
fine.
it. We're hearing it from everyone. So
But I think it's there to protect us from ourselves, to keep someone from going in there and blowing up the submittals.
yeah.
Right.
So Marjorie,
That's right.
we see you, and it's on the radar.
Nice.
Saving you from yourself. Yeah, Gary's saying that's what's happening here. It's probably sitting in some official document somewhere of like
It's in there.
it's just protecting everybody from themselves. Let's see. Brian has chimed in and said the standard find replace for a section is case sensitive.
Yes.
SLE was not. Any thoughts on changing this? I don't have any information on that. Do you?
I do not.
Okay.
I love the fact that the search bar, the find and replace search bar, I love that it's case sensitive.
Yeah.
Because I can search for something like, I can search for VOC, for example, and I don't get other things that have those three
like
letters in them.
havoc, or like
Right.
another word.
Wow, that
got
was really quick.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the capital V, the capital O will probably cull out most of the stuff that says the O, and so you can start to find little things. Like, could you imagine if you were trying to search for lead,
Mhm.
and you, by default, got everything that was lowercase, you would get bleeding, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's a word that's used a lot. It's like things
Mhm.
should bleed, and so I'm a big fan of the case sensitive find and replace. I use that to sort of navigate the section. If I'm somewhere random and I want to find something, I will search to that. I will use the search bar and find something, and it'll take me to it.
Speaking of searching, are you making use of the new document map?
Yes.
Yeah, that's I use that a lot.
But I use it. I haven't gotten used to using it yet.
Mhm.
But but most of the time I'm looking for something and I don't know where it lives there.
Oh.
So if I don't know where something lives in the map,
You're just going to search it.
I also don't have to memorize it. I can just search it.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Cool. Yeah, because otherwise some of these sections are pretty long. You're just putting a lot of miles on your scroll button on your mouse, trying to get to the
A lot
bottom.
of miles.
Trying to, part 3 is like.
Yeah, but the tagging for active versus inactive is pretty slick too.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh no, the just the toggle for normal versus active view. You just toggle it.
Right, displaying the
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin has
exclusively selected.
Kevin's made a statement here. He said it would be great if the search would remember searches.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Kevin, I will step out of here and scream that down the hallway when we're done to see if anybody hears that.
So is that one page cute little common work results for tags? Is that posted in the?
Yeah, it should be. So
Okay.
if we go to the materials up here and download. So I'm just pulling something up on my screen here. Your one page.
Yeah.
Is
Common work results for spec tag.
Is that? Yeah, we're gonna put that up right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had sort of made this sort of fun little document to sort of talk about some places where you can start to tag things that aren't tagged. So if you do a lot of demolition and renovation work, you make a demo and a demo reno tag. If you're involved, if you're having to specify NFPA 285, you can go through and tag all your line items that have NFPA 285, and then you can run a 285 report to see how you've done. And so there's just start to think about all the different things that you could tag.
And that's what's fun about it, right? Is now you get to start thinking of how do I get SpecLink to make the decisions or do the thinking for me. So I just had this thought, and I'll just blurt it out, and if it makes no sense, you guys can, I don't know, punch me in the arm later or something. But a question we've been asked a few times is there any way to know what active sequences still require a decision? And would tagging be a thing you could use in that? Like, if somebody is like sort of building up the spec ahead of time, could you tag it as like, TBD and just sort of drop those in as reminders that we're not done with this decision here yet?
I would probably use the commenting feature for that.
And just make notes to yourself.
Just make notes and export. And you get to tag people in it. Like if I need to
Yeah,
know,
and you can still run a report on that too.
You can still run a report on that, and it's separate, and it can live in that project.
Mm-hmm.
And if that project ever sort of comes back, and you make a copy of that project, you have the option to grab those comments with that copy of that project or not.
Oh, when does that option occur?
When you create the project.
Mm-hmm. So it's part of the decision of.
It's part of the decision tree of making a new project from something else. It'll say, do you want to copy the comments or not?
Okay, cool.
So you can have all sorts of comments. So let's say you're managing your masters and you have all sorts of stuff, side projects that you're working on with your QC team and your spec team. You can sort of set up a default to say, don't copy those comments into a new project.
Would there be a time where you would, I would think that you would always want to start a project without those comments. Like, when would you want to carry comments from one project to another?
So if I sort of had, if I had already predetermined a series of common decisions that need to be made by the design team,
Mm-hmm.
I might bake that into my masters.
Mm-hmm.
I might use the commenting feature or a tag Right? You can make a tag for, decisions,
Needs review. Or,
design team decisions.
Okay.
Right?
Alright.
And so you can make a tag for that, and then you can run a report on that. And if it's not active, it won't show up in the report. If it's active, then it shows up in the report. So there's, that's a cool idea.
I think my takeaway from today, we've got 10 minutes left, so we got to start landing this plane here, which is like, I feel like we're just getting warmed up. This happened last time we spoke too. It's like
It did.
a quick 30-minute call is an hour and
How are we
20
gonna
minutes.
spend an hour talking
How are we
about
going to do this
tags?
in an hour?
It's like, oh gosh, no, and so there's all sorts of stuff. Some of the other examples I came up with were special wind loads, seismic performance. Yeah, there's no global tag for restoration. There's no global tag for color. I had a client at one point ask me to tell me every place that the color was specified.
Okay.
It's an awesome feature. I think that's been in my enhancement request for like 4 years, maybe 5 years. I would love for RIB to tag everything that has color in it instead of having me go tag. I don't know how many. Like somebody told me, Gary probably told me how many places color, like the color of this, like their design decision, the color of the color of the sealant, not just the color of the panels.
Yeah.
All sorts of decisions like that have to be made. That you can leverage that tagging feature to find all the places that you've.
So you don't want to let the contractor pick the ceiling colors.
I mean, you can.
No. I made a mistake earlier when I told Kevin I was going to run down the hallway and scream his change request, and now he has commented back and says that he would like to hear that scream. So I don't, Kevin, I don't believe we've met, but I don't know if I can do that because there's a whole bunch of people here working. So I may have to pre-record a scream at a later date, and maybe we'll play it next week or something like that.
If you would please.
Yeah. I don't think that would go over well. We would find it hilarious. I think 20 people on the other side of the store would like panic or something like that.
The last tag hack that I'll make an offer is you can actually tag stuff in your reference standards. So if I wanted to tag NFPA 285 stuff, I would just tag it in the reference standards because if things are being done correctly with the reference standards and they're dragged and dropped, it'll automatically turn on that article.
Okay.
So every time you've got it, if you put it in the reference, if you tag the reference and then run the report, it in theory should tell you every section where NFPA 285 is specified. So you can start to do some things like that will tell you if things are automatically.
Yeah, and like I said, this is my takeaway from today, right? It's like, here's this tool, and you could give it to 100 people, and 100 people use it 100 different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and come up with their own unique ways of like, who's I talking with you today about the cover pages and like these unique ways that people are using the tools provided. You know, they're built with one intention, and then it's like, all these light bulbs start to go off with people. It's like, we could use it for that. We could do that. If we did it there, if we tag that, and that's what these webinars are about. It's just kind of inspiring people making their spec writing lives easier, creative solutions to the tools that are available. This is this was fantastic. I could listen to you talk forever, and I'm glad we're in the same room because now usually when I end these, I'm like, all right, time for lunch, but now we get to have lunch together.
Sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm super pumped.
Awesome. Tag that. Tag a lunch somewhere.
Tag lunch is it.
Tag lunch is it. Thank you so much for
my pleasure.
Coming in today and
super
for making
fun.
this happen.
Such a long travel trip. Such a long drive for me.
That's right.
Well, Liz, I crossed international borders to be here today, so this was
Kudos to you.
Whew. No, it wasn't that bad, but it was. It still sounds really good. It makes for great banter.
Yeah.
So Eric's contact information is uploaded in the materials panel. So if you want to reach out to Eric for any of your spec writing needs, now why do people usually reach out to you? What is your sort of like sweet spot of services that you can really help people out with the most?
Where do I want it? Where do I want it to be? I would love to do I love this sort of teaching aspect of helping people dial in their masters and helping them unlock the power of tagging or custom content and, pre-editing things to work with, to sort of maximize those efficiencies to the next level. Because you don't have to, the cool thing about this is a lot of people don't know what this thing is capable. They just don't know what it's
Yeah.
capable of. And sometimes it could be like just a super short workshop, something that we could do online, and I could I use the term teach someone how to fish.
Yeah, sure.
So.
And you're an excellent teacher. I mean, your delivery, your demeanor, your knowledge, it's.
Thank you.
I think people should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But it's not just the teaching, right? You are writing spec services.
I'm an independent specifier.
Excellent.
You know, there's a need out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that for several years by some of my other colleagues that have been doing this independently, and that, you know, some of that was part of why I launched my own thing. There's a need in the market for what I do.
Yeah, and you're doing it great.
I love
Gotta
it.
say.
And you can do it in SpecLink, which is,
Yes.
you know, which helps to build masters for folks. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
sort of cross, you know, benefits of
Oh, yeah.
Eric plus SpecLink,
Yeah.
you know.
And if
long-term.
anybody, like, we'll add, if anybody on here right now is not a current SpecLink user and would like a one-on-one demo with Alex or I, or definitely reach out with the contact information that's in one of the material handouts there. And yeah, just would be happy to sit and do a one-on-one with you and your team and show you sort of the fundamentals of SpecLink and get you excited about it, and you know, eventually get up to these master levels of, you know, the Erics and the Beths and the Amy's and everybody, the Hollies that are all doing amazing things with this. Next week is our final SpecTalk of the year. So normally we have a 2 weeks between. Next week is the 18th, and we are going to be doing our end of the year. I'd like to call it a spectacular, just to celebrate the end of the year, but
Sure.
It didn't make it into the PowerPoint, so I guess my silly puns are going to have to stay with me.
Yeah.
But so it will be our year in review on December 18th, as you can see on your screen there. Alex Fulton will be our guest, and we are going to talk about the year in and of itself, but also there's a SpecLink update that's coming out. I think it's Saturday.
That's what I care.
On Saturday. So by the time we have our next Spec Talk, you'll have access to some new updates in SpecLink, and we'll all get to review those and you know, have one last Spec Talk before the holidays.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Alex.
I was gonna say,
You almost did it just to be.
No, I was trying to crisscross the names again. But pleasure as always,
Likewise.
Alex, and it's such a treat to do it in person.
That's right.
Like, it's normally
meet
just
you
on
in person.
screen and like we, you know, shake hands and all that stuff.
Dory and I have not met
Thank
yet
you.
in person.
We had never met in person. We've been doing these for 5 or 6
Better
months
part of
now
the year.
together,
Yeah.
something like that. And here we are. So this is fantastic. Thank you. You're an impressive human being, and it's
I appreciate
great to
that.
have you on. Thank you everybody for hanging out. And yeah, thank you.